Okay, so this is a short session on the simulator and show you how it works and how it's built. We have a template for it, right? And it's based on cookie cutter, as you see here. And it resides in GitLab, and you don't need to do anything special. Don't get it from a Nugget artifact or something like that. But you do have to install the cookie cutter extension for Python. So if you go to this URL, sorry, if you go to this URL, which I will send over to you by mail, you will get instructions. So you will have to open a Windows command prompt, execute py-m pip install cookie cutter. It's a one-time thing, and you're going to use it a lot. And you go to the location where the similar project is to be created, usually under src microservice. If it's a companion to that microservice, you execute this command, you follow the questions. We're going to do a sample in a minute now, and you do whatever it's written here, exactly as it's written, and then I'll show you how it opens up. Two very important things to know about the simulator. It works with response data we record from responses from the actual test gateways of our providers. So once you have your JSON, okay, you're going to need this link to format your JSON responses in a pretty way. And you're going to need this link to turn your JSON data, your JSON responses into Python. So we have here some, I think it's netstars, the way I see it here, and that's the data class that's been created from it. Okay, so let me show you now how this whole thing comes together. So as I said, we are going to create our own thing here. Okay, so I have this temp sample API project here, and I'm going to the SRC, and I want to create my my simulator here and push it in the repository of our integration. So what I'm doing, I'm following the instructions, right? So I'm going to the location where the similar project is to be created, usually under src microservice if it's a companion to that microservice, and I'm executing this command. So going over here, I'm pressing cmd. So now I'm inside this directory, and I'm pasting the command, and I'm running it. So it asks me, you've downloaded this one before. Is it okay to delete and re-download it? And the question is yeah, and the answer is yes, because we are updating this all the time. So I'm saying yes. So it downloads it. Wait a couple of seconds. And that's the project name. Now, project name we want to give it is the billing provider name minus gateway minus simulator. See here, the billing provider name minus gateway minus simulator. So if I come back here, and if my project is called sample web API, so it's going to be sample minus gateway minus simulator. Gateway, right. So press enter, and we leave the same app name, and you can add a short description. My sample gateway simulator, and that's it. Now, what we've got here is our simulator. Okay, let's look at the files. We have the py file, which is the actual simulator. We have sample tests. Okay, you will have to change those accordingly. Okay, which tests the calls you create in Flask for the simulator. So you have tests on your tests, right? And it's very important. We have a runner file which will be edited per integration. Okay, so this is for the pipeline, so I will do it when time comes. We have the response data. We're about to talk about it in any minute now. And the requirements file. Now, the requirements file is a very important file because this is where we put all the packages that we need to run our simulators. So if you add here things like, for example, XML, XML to dictionary, or something like that, you have to add the package here. Okay, either manually because you know the version. Okay, the name of the package equals the name of the version, or more or less the name of the version, or that version above, and so on and so forth. Okay, and let's open it. Let's run our friend here and just close other things I've opened. Yes. And now let's open. You right click and you open folder as PyCharm Community Edition project, and you open it. Patience. So what happens now? We don't have a virtual environment yet running, okay? But we're letting PyCharm do its thing, and it says, well, where would you like to have your virtual environment? And it's here venv. Now, I have written in the instructions, I have written in the instructions to do this. You can either create your environment beforehand and run these calls manually, okay? Or we can let PyCharm do it for us. So just make sure you have the right path. It's venv, not .vm nor anything, and it's not going into source control, into GitLab. Your interpreter, your best interpreter, and it will run the dependencies from requirements.txt, which in fact does the three things I just showed you here. It does the three things, right? These three are calls, more or less. So let's say, okay, yeah, that's what I want. So let's then create a virtual environment. So if you just take a look here, at some point the venv folder will show up. It's a bit slow. You can press here and see more details. Well, nothing's happening in the terminal, by the way. Here's our virtual environment, okay? And it's configuring the interpreter right now for PyCharm. Otherwise, you have to do it on your own. And now it's actually installing our packages. Let's see if it took on the max automation. Not yet. Okay, so it starts downloading. Also, I start downloading from our Artifactory. So it's bringing down everything. Let's see what we have here. Not yet. It's collecting, installing. If there are any errors, you're going to see them here. Down here or down up here. It's done. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So we have the automation common version 8. And we have the NIAX gateway version 20, which is exactly what we asked for in our requirements txt file. See? Okay. Automation common, NIAX 20. Okay. Now let's go to the response data. So I have this response data here. It's an amaze. It's pretty verbose as far as response data goes. It has tenders and accounts and tenders and accounts and accounts and tenders and whatnot. It's very American this way. So anyway, what you do is, this is already formatted, right? But if you take it from Visual Studio, it's going to be like packed. So we're taking this guy here, okay? We write above it if it's authorization, if it's a sale. So this you have to replace with the actual ones you record from your integration, for example, VisaNet, and then when you come here, you prettify them. Okay, so you say process, so it actually prettifies and validates it, which is very important. Okay, then you take the same JSON, actually it's nice, paste it here, and this is what's created behind it. Now, what we're doing is we're copying this file. Okay, so we're going to copy code. We're going to come to our simulator, and in the models, we will want to paste this code here, okay, instead of the existing code. So let's do it. You see, there's a few things here. There's a lot more in here. So if I go up, I see suddenly I have this type var t and from end and from string, which are converters. Now, we realized early on that these converters just kind of repeat themselves. So you can come right on and delete them. Go ahead, delete all these things here. Import list and type var, so we're going to remove this here from as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to come to the common converters and see we've got everything here, plus some more parsers for data2. So worst case, if something is missing, we add it here for everybody to have it. And then what you do is you come here and in the authorization model, and things will be red, as you can see, right? So what you're going to do is Alt Enter, and you import. Just import parts. Now you don't import one by one, just import the first one, and then you do a star, right? Boom, all the red's gone. See? This is how you prepare the first initial file. When you go into your actual simulator, okay, this is okay that they're like that because it's not supposed to be the actual simulator. Once you fix your models, you can delete this and add your own. Okay. So let's talk about the way the simulator is built. So you have all these imports and all this imports to your code. You're not touching this part, and you're not touching this part, and you're definitely not touching this part. You can remove this. This is actually a switch case thing. Okay, you can have here instead of a result function if you like. Okay, as long as you define the methods beforehand. That's how Python works, but it's an interpreted language. You have this OpenDB file, which I will have to fix a bit this part because I fixed it in other places. So the simulator you're going to use will have this fixed. You have to change the name here. You have the setup, you have the cleanup. Every place you use the gateway, make sure to denote it as global up front. And you have your work cut out for you. So this is an authorized request for the gateway, for the simulated gateway, to authorize a card. If the result is not 0, it means I have to do something about status. I have to decide what to do with that card. If my data is mutated, it's a status I have to return, which will cause a decline, right? I'll explain in a minute. In fact, we're telling via the orchestrator to the simulator which cards are going to decline and fail, but we do not decline and fail all of them. So the ones we do not decline, we do not pass here. So if it's not found inside the gateway authorize, it will not be failed. I'll show you in a second. If I want to mutate the data, and I just change it here, again, it's an optional thing, and I think we're going to change this data and these requests and responses through time as much as QA just puts more data inside it, more work on it, and then we create our response and return dictionary. And these are actually the responses of of MMAs but need to be changed. But when you change them, do not kill this code because somebody, which is you, have to rewrite it. So you have to adjust it. Now, on a sale or when a QR is created, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean, we have this, we put data in our cache, and then when we come back to check on a refund or the status of transaction ID, we can get data from the cache, right, and check on it, which means on a reference number, on checking the reference of the transaction, for example, this is M&As, we just get the data from the cache. If we didn't find it, we have a problem. Otherwise, make a proper response, right? Okay. There is such a test in M&As, for example, and return the reference number. Now, how about dynamic QRs? Okay, so what do we do there? So, I've made an example in here, which I expected to be downloaded with our project, but it didn't. So I have to find out why, but it's probably nothing. It's a polling example MD. It's weird, but it should be in here. It's not. Well, I'll figure it out. So the polling example MD shows you on an inquiry, right, or sale, depends if it's version 1 or version 2 of Cortina, we have to get the poll times from the cache, check some statuses. Again, this is an example, but this is the main thing here. If we don't have polling times, it's an error. Otherwise, slip for nothing. Check how many times we polled. If we're still polling, return the appropriate status. If we're done polling, return the appropriate status. If we know we're going to fail it, okay, this code is not added yet, this 2C2P part, but if we know we're going to fail it, we can poll it and then fail it here, okay, when it finishes. If it's not its time to be failed, we just add +1 to the poll times. We increase the poll times counter, and we put it back to the cache, and we return a response. When we use a void or refund, we just delete the related transaction from the cache. Okay, it's an in-memory cache. We don't want to blow it up out of proportion. Okay, so that's how the whole thing looks like, and it's that easy. Okay, I probably have questions about it. Feel free to ask. Actually, no. Why? This didn't come down with the simulator. It has to be in master, not in development. I'm going to fix it in a second now. But that's a simulator. That's the whole magic behind the simulator. Okay. Now I urge you to look at other simulators to see what we did there in order to be able to make a better job here on the one you will create. Be it VisaNet, which doesn't have a polling, or be it Satispay, which is a dynamic QR and has a polling. That's it. If you have any questions, ask away.